I just created an AI agent clone of myself, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can do the same thing for yourself. Let's dive into this. The first thing I want to do is actually just demonstrate this because I think it's really, really cool, and then we can break down the process together. Hey, Jono, how are you doing today? What's going on? And so I sent off an audio message. It's going to process that audio message and then create a response back and send it back to me. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like.
Hello, Count Jono. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. As for what's going on, I'm here and ready to assist you with any questions or topics you want to discuss. Whether it's about technology, advice, or anything else, feel free to let me know. What can I help you with today?
Okay, that's like slightly creepy. It sounds so similar to me. And yes, I also programmed this thing to say Count Jono, not just Jono, because why not? I think that's absolutely hilarious. And today we're going to be building this out. Now, as always, with every single one of my blueprints on my YouTube channel, they're all free. So if you guys want to download it, it's in the description down below. All you have to do is download the file and then come over to these three dots in the corner and then import that file and you're good to go. Now, the technology we're going to be using today to build this out is going to be a combination of n8n and Elevenlabs. n8n is going to be powering the automation and the AI agent, and then Elevenlabs is going to be generating the voice clone. Now, just before we dive into it, if you guys haven't taken a look at my community yet, I just launched this about a month ago. We have over 300 members in it, and this is a place where you can get access to tons of additional blueprints not found on my YouTube channel, as well as tons of additional content, courses, and weekly group calls that you can jump on and get help immediately, whether it's a tech-related problem, business problem, or whatever the case is. With that being said, let's dive into this right now. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that I want to do here is create a trigger. And essentially what this trigger is that when we receive a message from Telegram, well, we're going to want to start this. And so for the purpose of today's video, I am using Telegram. You can use tons of other triggers as well. You could use WhatsApp, you could use Twilio, you could use even Siri. I mean, you can even get this to do fire off Siri, but there's a lot of different options is what I'm trying to say. And what we're going to be using is this on message. And essentially what this is saying is when we receive a message, then we're going to start this workflow. And so the first thing that we have to do here is just we need to create a connection between Telegram and our particular AI agent here. And what we need specifically is this access token. And how we get that is through these docs here. So let's go ahead, let's open this up and follow the exact process that's laid out before us by n8n. And essentially what they're saying here is we need to access or start a conversation with Botfather. This makes me laugh every single time I see it. It just cracks me up. So we'll go ahead and click this link and it's going to open this message in Telegram for us. And so essentially what we can do here is just come back, close this tab and follow the exact process outlined here. We're going to first of all copy this, which is /newbot, and I'm just going to paste that in here. And the second thing that we're going to do is we need to name this. And so we can name it essentially anything we want. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to do voice AI clone Jono. And essentially that looks good to me. And we're going to then go ahead and create a username. And this username has to have Tetris bot or like bot at the end or in some capacity for it to work. And now this has to be different than any other particular username out there. If somebody else has the same one, it's not going to work. And so I've gone ahead, I've created it. We're all good to go. The only thing is we need to copy this particular access token here, and then we're solid. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to close this, paste the access token in here, and this is good to go. We'll save it. Credentials have been added. Everything's set. And now what we can do is just test this step and send a message over to us just to make sure that this connection is actually good here. And let's go ahead and try this out. So I'm going to click this link here. Oops. This link right here, and then it's going to open up a new chat and we're going to start this together. And now we should have received a message, which we have, and we can see, everything coming in here. Awesome. So the next thing that we want to do here is create a switch statement. And what this switch does is it routes down different paths. So you can think about what we're trying to build here as this AI agent. We have two routes. One is for audio and one is for text. And the reason why we have it this way, by the way, is because one is going to be essentially more or less for audio again. The other is for text, but the way we process these are going to be different. And because they're different, we need to route them down different paths first to be able to handle, for example, transcribing audio. And so for that reason, we just need to process them differently. So we'll go ahead and do that. The first path we're going to choose here is going to be audio followed by text. I just want to test this workflow first just to get some test data in here. So it's going to be test and we've received it. Okay, perfect. And awesome. So we'll open up this switch statement here, and we got tons of different data on the side here. Specifically, what I want to do is find a variable that's going to be different between an audio message and a text message. And what that to me is this text field down here, because if it's an audio message, it will not contain text in it. So what we can do is we can say for the audio path, the string does not exist. And then we're going to add another route. And in this instance, and we'll just want to make sure that this is an expression here. In this instance, it's going to be a string that exists. Okay. So in one instance, we have an audio message. Another instance, we have a text message. Okay, perfect. And what we can do for the text message is we're just going to simply add an edit field down here. And we're going to create a new field called string or text. Okay, and this is going to have the value of the text that we're passing in here. And I'm going to explain in a later point in time as we kind of progress with developing this why this is the case. So I'm just going to type in another message here and test the workflow, make sure it's going down the text path here, which it is. And all we need to do is just make sure that this text key here has a value, and that value is the message that we typed into Telegram. Okay, perfect. So that's option number one done here. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and test to see if we can get some audio in here. So let's try this out. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to say bot father because I think it's hilarious every time I have to create these bots. It cracks me up. Bot father. Okay, so that's our test message. We'll go ahead, we'll give it a shot. And it looks like it worked and it went down the audio message. I'm just going to open this module up and I'm going to pin the data up top here because I want to make sure that I don't have to essentially restart this every single time I want to test it. Instead, what I want to do is I just want to be able to run it and run it based on that saved or mock data that we just received. Okay, perfect. So now that we've created our audio message and we've routed it down the audio path, the first thing that I want to do is actually download that message. So we need to go back into Telegram and we need to choose this get a file option here because right now we just have like some binary text or code or whatever, and we need to convert that into text. And so all this needs is a file ID, and we can get that file ID based on the voice object here. We can see that it has a file ID. So we're just going to pass that in. So we'll drag and drop this in. We'll test it out. And great, we've now officially downloaded the data off of that audio message. And this is an audio message of me saying bot father. Okay, cool. Lastly, we're just going to transcribe this. So I want to use OpenAI to do this, and we're going to choose transcribe a recording. And what this does is it turns it from speech into text. And more or less that's it. I mean, we don't really have to do anything other than that because out of the box it works. We just need to create a credential if you guys haven't done so already, and we'll need to get an API key from ChatGPT. If you guys already know how to do this because you've seen me do this like 60 times in the last videos, then you can skip a bit forward. But in order to get an API key, we need to go over to platform.openai.com and sign in. And then we'll go over to the gear icon here. And then we're going to hover over to the API keys. Now, in the API key, we can just create a secret key and then we're good to go. So I'll just call this like botfather API key. And then we'll create that and we'll copy this in and we'll paste it right here. Okay, sweet. We can save this and now we're good to go. The only other thing worth mentioning here is that you will need to add $5 onto this account. If you don't add $5 onto OpenAI, you're not going to be able to access it. And I say 5 because that's just the minimum that they will accept, I believe. So we're good to go here. We've connected in our account. Everything's working. We can test this step now and see if it works. And we got the message back, even with a period. Man, it captured my vocal tonality so well. That's awesome. So we're good here. We can see that now the response has the key text, and the response down here also has the key text as well. In either instance, they have the same key. And that's really important. And circling back to what I was saying earlier, we're going to use a merge step here. And what this merge step does is it will essentially take the value in either instance and merge it into one. So whether we're going down the audio path or whether we're going down the text path, we're going to merge back in, and we're going to merge based on the key here. And what this key is text. And so whatever we get, whatever value we get from the transcribed message here, or the text field, or the text that we're actually putting into Telegram down here, it's still going to have the same key. We can merge it back in together at this particular spot here, which is really important because we're going to use this to essentially add that text into the AI agent, which is coincidentally the next step here. So we'll create the AI agent, and everything pretty much works out of the box here. The only thing I want to bring up is that this particular JSON chat input is going to be wrong. It's going to draw an error. If we test this step out, we'll see that it doesn't work. And I think my face is unfortunately blocking it, but we have this problem in Node AI agent. And there's a couple things here. Firstly, we have the wrong prompt. And that's because by default, whenever you're building an AI agent, it's expecting that the message you're receiving is from their default native chat widget here. But we're not using this. We're using Telegram. And because we're using Telegram, we need to map in the chat ID here to the AI agent over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to define a different trigger here instead of the chat node. And essentially we're grabbing the message. Now, instead of grabbing it actually from the Telegram trigger, because we have two paths that they're going down and we don't know necessarily over here which path it's actually taking, we're going to pull it in from the merge step, because in either instance, they're both going to have the same key, which is called text. And so in a nutshell, coming back in here, we're going to grab text and paste it in here. And this is going to be the text that we're receiving from the Telegram. Okay, awesome. So this is good. Now we just need to add a couple things in here. First thing is the brain of the operation. You can think about this like ChatGPT essentially in a nutshell. It's like the reasoning and logic behind this AI agent. You have a lot of different options here, but for me, what I'm going to choose is I'm just going to pick OpenAI down here. And I think my face is probably blocking that, but this is just what I'm going to choose for this. And out of the box, this works perfectly for me. And the next thing is we're going to add memory. Now, what the memory is it's just how many messages does this AI agent remember? And so that way you can send multiple messages and it can be like, oh yeah, you also said this in the previous chat window or whatever. And so I'm going to remember that and apply it to whatever you say next. Similarly to how ChatGPT works. The only thing here is that, again, we're passing in the wrong session ID, and we need to connect this into Telegram as opposed to what it thinks is the default chat trigger here. So we're going to define something else. We're going to pass in this key. And so how we can pass in this key is just by selecting over here. We're going to choose the Telegram trigger. And what I want to add in here is I want to add in the chat ID over here. And this is going to be a unique ID that we can reference every single time to grab this chat. So this is good. Now we have memory attached to it. We'll remember past messages. And you can add in as many tools as you want here. These tools could be things like, hey, check my calendar for me. Or hey, take a look at my my Google Sheets, or add something to Google Sheets, add something to Airtable, whatever the case may be. There's a million and one things you can do here. But essentially, this is kind of outside the scope of this particular video, because really this is just about how we can make an AI clone of ourselves and talk back and forth to each other. But if you guys are interested in learning this kind of stuff, I have tons of videos on this in my YouTube channel. They're all free. There's blueprints for all of them. You can just download all of them and use them immediately. And so for that reason, I'm just not going to go too far into detail in this call. So we're almost done with this video. We just have 2 more steps here, because we need to take this AI agent response and then we need to actually send it back over to Telegram so that we can receive it over here. And so what we need to do is, first of all, convert the response from this AI agent into audio, and then once it's in audio, then send it over to Telegram. And so how we do this is we're going to use something called Elevenlab. And Essentially, usually what you do is you'd add in a module here and you type in like Elevenlabs, but they don't actually have an integration, which is kind of unfortunate, right? But the fortunate thing is that we can still create it ourselves. Now, just before I talk about creating it, I want to talk about the n8n integrations. I'm going to go over to their integrations. They have 1,031 integrations. In a nutshell, an HTTP request is like literally the exact same thing as Google Sheets or sending an email or Gmail or Airtable or Google Drive. These are all HTTP requests. The only difference between these, okay, and an HTTP request is that the n8n team has gone in and they've actually done all the heavy lifting for us. They've created the integrations. They've made sure it works so that we don't have to do it. But with HTTP requests, we have to actually do the heavy lifting and connect it in. And one day, Elevenlabs will just have a native integration into n8n, just like Google Sheets or Telegram or whatever. But for today, it doesn't. So more or less, that's it. We're going to have to create this ourselves. And how we create this is by using an HTTP module. And we're going to have to build this integration from the ground up. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about here before even building this out is how can we create that sweet, cool AI clone of our voice? And how we do that is by heading into Elevenlabs. If you guys haven't done so already, you can go ahead and sign up for an account. And so you can try for free, but I think with the AI clone of your voice, you're probably going to have to sign up for their starter plan right here, which is $5 a month. And so just keep that in mind. Once we go over to our account, we can create a voice here. And if you are able to clone your own voice, it might just time out with these API calls because usually they don't give API calls in the free plans anyways. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and create the voice. We'll hit this plus button. And in order to clone our voice, we'll choose this option here, which is instant voice clone. And yeah, you can just essentially audio record yourself. I would recommend doing this as many times as possible because every time you do this, it's going to substantially improve the quality of the voice that it generates for you. However, you can also upload files too. And so this is what I did. I just uploaded multiple files, and then that was easier for me because it was longer. And the longer the messages or the longer the audio files you upload, the better your voice is. And so I'm not going to redo this again, but in a nutshell, I'm going to try and go back here, but it's like, it's like preventing me from going back. I think I'm stuck here. Anyways, I might end up just ending the video here because it's just not letting me go back. I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go. And here's my voice over here. Let's just test it out.
Trains carry our hopes on pathways of progress.
Wow, that was just so inspiring, Elevenlabs. I can't even get over it. I'm just kidding. It wasn't inspiring at all. Okay, so this is good. We can view our voice here, and just keep in mind we have this ID here. This is going to come in handy later on. So circling back, we need to integrate n8n into Elevenlabs. Well, how do we do this? We're going to go to Elevenlabs. API documentation, and we're going to go to the first option here. Okay, so essentially we're going to look at these endpoints here. These are like API endpoints. In a nutshell, this is just like technical jargon for saying that inside n8n or inside any application, but in regards to Elevenlabs, there's a lot of different functions or tasks you can do. One of the tasks is in Elevenlabs turning text to speech. Another one is to create sound effects. Another thing is to turn text to voice or create a voice. And so these are just all different tasks that you can perform. And with these endpoints, essentially what it allows us to do is to integrate into Elevenlabs externally. So instead of doing it from within their own application here, we can do it from n8n here. And so circling back, we are interested in this create speech. So we're going to create speech using Elevenlabs from n8n. And we're going to do this in this module here. And this essentially gives us all the ingredients we need to be able to work with Elevenlabs and n8n. So let's go through it together. And the first thing is that we see an example here of like kind of what it looks like. So we can just literally copy this. We're going to use a post request here. What a post request is it's again, like software jargon for saying we're going to create something. So you can think about it like a postman that delivers a parcel to your front door. You're literally just, creating something somewhere else. You could think about it like creating a voice in Elevenlabs. You can think about it like creating a client in your CRM. Those are just two examples. And then we need to add in the URL here. And so we can get this URL straight from here again. All we have to do is just copy this, but I'm just going to copy it from over here because this is like the full URL here. And I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, perfect. And there's just two things I want to point out. The first thing is that this :voice_ID is a unique variable. So we can't just paste in voice_ID. We actually have to, put something in there. And so this is where this ID comes in handy from Elevenlabs. So we'll just copy this because this is the unique ID for that voice. We can paste it here. So now we're referencing that particular voice. And you can see also when we copied it in, there was just a little space there, and that space is enough to break everything and cause complete destruction. So we just want to go ahead and remove that. Okay, sweet. So next we have these /H's or -H's. This is just basic boilerplate stuff that you have to do anytime you create HTTP methods. You'll notice it was a -H that stands for header. There's nothing in particular we have to do here. We just have to essentially copy in everything we see. The only caveat to that is this API key here, which we're going to have to change, because we actually need to add in our own API key. So we'll go ahead, copy everything else in here, and we'll get this application /JSON, and then we're good for the headers. And then this /D, I think, stands for the body down here. So we're gonna choose body, and I wanna choose JSON. And I wanna choose JSON just because I'm literally gonna copy and paste everything they have in here into our JSON module here. We can see that it's drawing an error, and that's because we haven't formatted our JSON correctly. We have this quotation there by mistake, and even one character out of place is going to cause this whole thing to break. So just be careful with that. And then more or less, this is it. We're going to have to change two things. First, the API key, and second, we're going to have to change this text down here. I'm going to leave this text for now just because we don't have any past data to pull in here, so we need something to test it out with. So we'll go ahead and grab that API key, which is the last thing. So we'll go into settings down below here and go to API keys. And I'm just going to create an API key. I could either call it Titanic Jaguar. That's not a bad name. Titanic. Could you imagine a Titanic Jaguar? Or I could just change this to Botfather, which I think is more applicable, because why not? We're on the Botfather theme here. Okay, circling back, we're going to paste this API key in here, and we're good. I'm going to save this, and we're going to test this workflow out. Up until now. Okay, so it's just generating the response here, and now it is creating the voice, and we can see the data has come back here. So this is good. Everything's good to go. The only thing is that I want to change this text here to the output, but I just don't want to do it yet because this is like a lot of text. I don't want to create something this large. And also you can see there's a lot of special characters like the £, or like the -n, or like the quote here, or the quote here. And this is actually going to break the JSON. If you have like these quotations and you add in here, it's just not going to work. And so instead of making that mistake, I'm just going to skip over that for now. And the last thing we need to do is just send that back to Telegram. So we'll select Telegram, and we are going to send off an audio file. And with this audio file, more or less, in a nutshell, there's 3 things we got to do. The chat ID here, we need to switch this to binary, and we need to add a title to this. So the chat ID we can get from the first module. And so we need to go back on the input here to the Telegram trigger, and we're going to choose the chat ID, which is right here. Perfect. And we have the binary file, and the last thing is we just need to create a title here, so like a file name, and I'm just going to call this data or whatever, and that's pretty much good to go. I'm going to save this, and we're going to test this workflow again to see if this worked. And then the last thing we need to do is just change this file message here, but I'm going to do that after I unpin the data here. Okay, let's take a look and see if this worked. Okay, perfect. We have our message.
The first move is what sets everything in motion.
Wow, Jono, you just sound so wise. I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty cool. We got the bot to work here. It's always like weird hearing your voice on the other end. It's like, am I talking to myself right now? I guess technically I am, but it's like cloning myself. Anyways, it's kind of weird, but it's cool. I'm gonna unpin this, and I'm going to change the message here to the message over here, and then we're good to go. So I'm gonna delete everything here. I'm gonna drag this output in between these two quotation marks. Just make sure it's in between the two quotation marks. Exactly what I did not do here. So just don't do exactly what I did there. And yeah, just keep these quotation marks just as they are there, and then we're good to go. We can click save, and now I can start freely messaging with my AI clone of myself, my AI agent clone of myself. Hey Jono, how are you doing today? What's on your mind? Okay, let's see how it responds. We'll test this out and see what's on the AI clone version of my mind. Okay, perfect.
Hello again, Count Jono. I'm doing well, thank you. As for what's on my mind, I'm here to help you with anything you need, whether it's answering questions, discussing ideas, or just chatting. What about you? Is there something specific you'd like to talk about today?
Man, I could just talk to myself all day like this. This is awesome. The last thing that I want to do here is I just want to add in the AI agent here. And the reason I want to add this in is because I kind of want to just add like a system prompt here. And I want to say you're a helpful assistant named Jono, and you're tasked with answering user questions. The user's name is also Count Jono. And I just like this because I think this is freaking hilarious. Imagine like talking to yourself and it replies to you as Count. I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's like so silly. It's ridiculous. Okay, so this looks good to me. And then essentially we can just add in any other system messages in here that we want to. So if we were to like add in tools here to check our calendar for the day, we could add rules in here to say, hey, you know, this is how certain things are. So anytime we're dealing with tons of tools on here, and these tools can be doing so many different things, we just want to give instructions on how to use those tools effectively. And I have tons of videos talking about this, and so I highly recommend taking a look at that. So we'll just try this one more time, and let me think here. What is the coolest thing that you can think of when it comes to a fact, Jono? Okay, let's see the coolest thing I can think of. I'm very interested here. Okay, it looks like there is a problem actually. So we have an error here essentially saying that the JSON data needs to be valid JSON. And the reason you get an error like this is because, well, this JSON down here isn't formatted properly. And so anything that you add that's like not exactly how it should be formatted is going to draw an error. So for example, a comma out here would draw an error. This would draw an error, whatever. All this kind of stuff can draw an error. And essentially what's going on here is that this text, it looks like it's text, but you can see these like /n's. These are line breaks in code. And you can see it's slightly different, slightly darker than the other purple. And so stuff like this is probably not actually acting as quote unquote text, but it's acting as like some other code or data type, which is drawing the error here because it's expecting text, but it's actually getting something else. And so what we need to do here is we need to type a function, which is called JSON.stringify. And then we're going to wrap this in brackets here. Okay. Oops, the bracket doesn't go there. The bracket goes here. Now what this is doing, JSON.stringify, is it's taking JSON data, which is like this here. This is all JSON data, and it's turning it into text. Okay. And so now when we run it, it's going to turn all of these line breaks and special characters into text. And so I've gone ahead, I've pinned the data here, and I'm going to test this workflow out. We'll give this a shot. Okay, so we're still encountering an error here. Let me just pull this up, and it's saying it's still related to the validity of the JSON. And what I think is going on here is that we're double quoting it. So if I just pull this out, yeah, so we can see here that we have double quotes now, which is also not good. So we need to delete this, and then we also need to delete this. And now we can test this out again. and it should work. Okay, fingers crossed. Here we go. I'm holding my breath. Okay, it worked. Awesome. Sweet. So we're going to get this response back to Telegram. By the way, all of this code is going to be down below for free for you guys to download, so you don't have to worry about this if you don't want to set this up. Let's take a listen to what it said here.
A remarkable fact pertains to the honeybee. Honeybees have an extraordinary method of communication known as the waggle dance. When a worker bee finds a good source of nectar, it returns to the hive and performs this dance to inform other bees about the direction and distance to the food source. The waggle dance consists of a series of movements that convey information about the angle relative to the sun and the distance to the flower. The duration of the dance signals how far away the food is, allowing other bees to efficiently locate the nectar. In addition to their impressive communication skills, honeybees play a crucial role in pollination, contributing to the growth of many.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there because this is quite a long message. But Jono, voice AI, Jono, I got to say, I'm quite impressed with your knowledge on honeybees. I don't know how you know that much, but you know certainly a lot more than I do. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. Thanks so much for watching. This is, how you can create a voice AI agent clone of yourself, and then you can just talk back and forth. Now, if you guys need any additional help, you can take a look at my school community over here where we have over 300 members. And so this launched about a month ago. If you need any help with courses or learning more about n8n or Elevenlabs, or if you want blueprints, or if you want to just jump on weekly calls because you get stuck on technical problems like that JSON stringify, I have a calendar here where there's 5 calls every single week, and you can just jump on and ask questions, screen share. We'll debug everything together, because obviously this kind of stuff is great when it goes well, but when it doesn't go well and then you start encountering issues like we did over here, it can take hours. And that's where I want to come in and kind of help you guys bypass that time, because obviously time is money and it's the most valuable currency. And obviously the faster you get this up and running, the better off you're going to be. So thanks guys so much for watching. Really appreciate your time. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already and you're still watching, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button, because there's going to be tons of more content just like this video released all the freaking time. So if you like this, I'm sure you're going to like the other content. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.